Here we go, here we go, here we go. Yeah. Come on in this house. Come on in this house. Yeah, come on. Come on, let me fix my monitor a little bit here. There you go. It's the Red Hot Mic with yours truly, Dr. G. Alfred Palmer, coming at you one more time. I appreciate you coming in the house. Come on in this house. Yeah. Let's get it ready. Let's get ready for you. Come on. It's the Red Hot Mic. Come on in this house. It's time for us to ruminate, elevate, and to activate one more time. And here, yes, get a little closer to you. Got some new setup in here. So we're trying to get some things a little bit different. So it takes a little bit of adjusting. Come on. Come on. Come on. All our contact information is scrolling underneath the page. Please reach out to us. Come on. It's a toast to your wellness, to the best in you, that you become all that you were meant to be. Pomegranate juice. That's how we do it. Oh, come on. All right. All right. Tonight, I'm going to go with this. I'll be right back. Tonight. We'll go with a little different with our enjoy the evening. All right. Thank you for coming in, and I thank you for your patience as well. Listen. I want to say this to you. I appreciate you coming in and being a part of the Red Hot Mic. I really do. And I'm going to try to get some of this music out of the way. I appreciate you coming into and viewing the Red Hot Mic. I really do. Thank you so much. You could be doing a lot of other things, but you're spending some time with me. And I don't care when it is, but I just want you to know that I appreciate you tuning in. Now, what I would ask you to do, I would ask you to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And the reason for that is it helps the algorithm, and it helps us to be seen more by more people through Facebook. And so we need your assistance to be able to do that. So if you would, hit that algorithm. I'm sorry, hit that like, subscribe, and share. There you go. I love my red now. Come on. It does some other crazy stuff sometimes. So I want to thank you for tuning in. This is part three of how to find a high value mate. And I didn't know it was going to be this long. I really didn't. But at the same token, I think this is some of the best work that we've done to this point. And here's the reason why. I hear a lot of people talking about certain aspects of relationship. And so we want to come and see if we can just add a bit to it and see what how we can help. That's all it's about. It's not about trying to be this, that, and the other. It's about promoting a better relationship. And why is relationship important? It's important because it's the most important thing relative to human exchange that the Creator has put in place for us. So it's important that we have a good relationships. So in order for us to do that, we have to understand what relationship is and how to go about establishing and maintaining good relationships. I've been watching a prominent individual on the social media, and this individual was on a podcast with some younger guys. He's an older gentleman that's been around, and he's seasoned, much more seasoned than these young men. You could tell the difference, even though he was visiting their podcast. I'm not going to give his name, but he really, in my opinion, he schooled these young boys, because I think a lot of times these younger folks think that they have the answers when they need to be taught. And even though he was teaching them, and I think in some areas that there was error, I do appreciate him being able to show these young gentlemen some things that probably they hadn't thought about, or if they had thought about, they hadn't thought deeply. But I have, so I'm going to address it in this manner. He faulted relationship or the masculinity of females on men, and said that it was the men's fault that women have had to become more masculine in their presentation and in their lifestyles. And I get what he's saying, and I understand what he's saying, but I don't agree with what he's saying, because it's not a matter. No one is at fault for you not reaching where you need to be. The only one to be at fault is you, because your development, because that's the key. It's not that men didn't do this, that, and the other, or women didn't do this, that, and the other, but it is in a way from moving from girlhood to femalehood to womanhood. Those are developmental processes that take place, and it's no one's fault that you don't reach that, but you. And regardless of what socially has gone on, okay, what has economically gone on in our community, culture, and clan, the responsibility of your development is your responsibility, and so only you can be responsible for what you have or have not accomplished in your development. That's why I'm here. I'm trying to help us to better understand the importance of masculinity development, of femininity development. Your responsibility is to develop in those areas and not the other person, okay, or the other gender, okay. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about that in the guise of our program tonight. We're going to hit on some of it. But again, this is the third time we've been talking about this whole idea of how to find a high value mate. And why is that important? Why is finding a high value mate important? Not for economic reasons. No, it's not. It's not even for, not totally, but somewhat sociological and cultural. There is some social factors, and there's definitely some cultural factors. But see, what we've got to learn to do is to affect those things and not let those things affect us. And that's what's been happening. Societal and cultural phenomena has affected us and dictates to us when we should be dictating to those. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about in this particular edition of How to Find Your Mate, how to find a high value mate, because the problem is we're finding mates, but we're not finding high value mates because we don't know what high value means. Really, we don't know what it means. And we've had people tell us what it means, but it's not that at all. Let me get rid of some of this light. Now I like light, but it can be distracting. So let me get rid of some of it if we can. Sometimes it's a little difficult at this time. I guess it may be some time to hit the there you go. Put new batteries. Okay, so anyway, the bottom line is this: when it comes to relationship is important, and it's important for us to understand relationship and appropriately establish and maintain relationships so that we can better dominate or be successful in our community, culture, and clan. All right. So I'm going to back up a little bit from where we talked about the last time, and we're going to pick up from hopefully probably back up a little bit into what we talked about the last time in part 2, and then we're going to take on and finish up. Hopefully we can finish up this time because I try to keep it at an hour, as close to an hour as possible, and sometimes we spill over into that. At least with this particular session we had. So hopefully we won't go too much over it. And we do add other portions to the programming as well. For instance, one of the things we add is because of what I do is I try to do a fragrance and a candle of the evening, or for our programming. The candle this time is a new one. Sometimes I get these new candles and I haven't tried them, but this one is Bougie Parfum by Margie Jean. I don't know. It doesn't give us it doesn't tell what is in it. Normally we get a sense of what that is, but this one's not. So we'll give it a shot. People have been sending me these different scents. I've been getting these different candles, and so what I try to do is I try to give them a shot. I don't know about this one. Bougie Parfum. Again, Margie Jean. I haven't heard of her before, but that's a new scent. I like scents. Scent helps to create atmosphere. Okay, it helps to control environment. You can actually control environment with scents. Okay, so candles, fragrances can control scent, the environment, so it can dictate, or it can initiate certain environment, certain kinds of triggers. Okay, so we like doing that because what it does is allows us to exercise that dominion, that control in our environment. Okay, but our candle of the evening is um, that one. My scent, or I should say, the fragrance is probably my favorite. My go-to is Tom Ford Noir Extreme. I love it, and it's one of my favorites. And I always, uh, I can say this to you, it is something that I think that every man should have in his repertoire of scents or fragrances, because it is clean, fresh, it's invigorating. It is also, I would say, it's not strong, but it's captivating. It's a scent that um, I'm not I'm not going to try to say everything that's in it, but I would say one thing is that it is something that will gain attention, and if that's what you look to do with your fragrances, here's one that will help you do that. Tom Ford Noir Extreme. So our scents, I dig this one, I really do. So I I want to just talk a little bit about our what we're going to talk about. But before I do that, I like to do this: send you to a commercial real quick, and we will be. Let's see if we can find it. We will be right back.
In our current global climate, we're facing challenges never before experienced by this generation. Oppositions where no one seems to have clear directions or answers to the risks facing us. Confrontations like racial and gender unrest, political gerrymandering, toxic leadership, economic crisis, global pandemic, health threats, pre-existing medical conditions, isolation, boredom, and loneliness are driving people to desperation. As a result, people are confused, afraid, anxious, and perplexed, and they need answers to some tough questions and even tougher situations. They are looking into different outlets for answers to gain assurance and consolation. Some have drawn closer to the embrace of family, while others look more towards their friendships, education, and even religion. What we need is a fresh voice of truth and clarity, and not a stale religious echo from the past. There's a re-emerging voice on the horizon that isn't afraid to stand alone and give spiritual and mentally sound direction to a world searching for answers. G. Alfred Palmer offers a voice of sound human development and empowerment to those willing to hear. There's a need for new ideas to old principles, a perspective from a timeless origin, but with current vision, a thought leader who understands what it means to stand alone and speak truth when some are hard of hearing. But if you've been waiting to hear a voice that opens the gates of freedom and breaks the shackles of confusion to allow you to step forward into the dawning of a new and exciting future, then it's time to bridge the gap with Dr. G. Alfred Palmer. He is a dynamic speaker, thought leader, and entrepreneur, equipped to elevate, expand, and extend the development, empowerment, and leadership of his audiences. He stands ready to speak at your next event. His delivery is guaranteed to refresh, entertain, and transform. G. Alfred Palmer bridges the gap from uncertainty to the purpose, to passion, and leadership. Book him today for your next event, and you won't be disappointed.
All right, we're back. We're back. I appreciate you coming back with me. We're going to getting to the topic tonight. Let's get rid of some of the extraneous. All right. So the red hot mic, and what we're talking about again, I think is a very important topic, and it's everybody's talking about how to find a high value relationship and all these extraneous things, all these things that are really meaningless when it comes to relationships. Sure, these things are accoutrement and it adds to some things, but it's not really, should never be the measuring rod for establishing and maintaining a relationship. So we talked about purpose. We talked about purpose, and purpose being the reason why you're here. And we talked about purpose from a general perspective. And you can go back in part 2 and look at this and why purpose is important in relationship and the importance of finding purpose before even trying to start a relationship. But what we do is we have a tendency to be more focused on some of the lips, hips, and fingertips, the abs, the accounts, and the all these things that really don't mean anything in the broad scheme of things. So what we're doing here at the Red Hot Mic is we're looking at things from a different perspective, and we're hoping that it can help. So, I didn't do the Red Hot. I didn't do some of the other things that we do, as far as, well, I guess I better, huh? I better do mine. Nah, we're just going to go ahead and to this because it's going to take a while. Let's look at it, this whole idea. I'm gonna add my screen here, and this starts out with the question: what should he bring to the table? This is a question that's being asked over and over and over again from folks. And it's about, things that are really minor and not major. I'm not saying that they aren't important. I'm just saying they're not major things. If we look at the major things, and the minor things become even less apparent, or maybe even more apparent, or less important, I should say. They become less important. But the thing is, the universe will give you those things because you're so in line with the major things. And so if we're in line with the major things, the minor things become less important, but the universe will throw those in anyway, because the universe is not trying to keep anything from you or from me. So I think I want to get something a little less. Yeah, let's go with that. Maybe I want something that's going to be a little less. Let's try that. It may get a little boisterous, but we'll go with that. Because I don't want something that's going to distract us as much as possible. We try to keep it from distracting us. So what should you bring to the table, gentlemen? What should you bring to the table? Is it your 6-pack of abs? Is it your 6-figure income? Listen, 6-figure income is nowhere as meaningful as it used to be. 6 figures is not a lot of money as much as it used to be. So we put a label on it, but it's really not something that's really, really important. So and then this height, 6 feet, 6 figures, and 6 abs, 6-pack abs. Are you serious? Is that what's important? Yeah, that's important to people that are still operating in malehood. Men know better than that. And they operate on a level higher than that, right? So it's important. Make sure let's see if we can get this operating the right way here, because it's not moving the way I wanted to. Okay, well, it is what it is. So, when we start talking about, I'm hoping that you can hear me well. Um, when we start talking about the whole idea of what should he bring to the table, it has to be more. It has to be more than just those carnal, material things. And if someone is looking for those things, rest assured, that's not the one you're looking for. That's not the one you're looking for. Because what you bring to the table seems to be a most asked question in this culture that we live in America. But it's really not the real question that should be asked. The real question is, what's your purpose? That's the real question. What's your purpose? Now, I hear people ask questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Well, purpose is bigger than that. You know, purpose is bigger than that. See, what they're literally looking at is what are your goals? Okay, your goals have to be in concert with your purpose, and you can only know what your goals are effectively by knowing your purpose. So you have to know your purpose first. So when they ask, what do you see in yourself doing in the next 5 years? You have to first know what your purpose is so that you could answer that question in a way in which your purpose is introduced and connected and woven throughout those 5 years. Because without it, you're not going to be successful. Now, so what do we bring to the table? Okay, as the masculinity element in this sphere, what we're supposed to bring is what you see here. We're supposed to bring masculinity purpose. Now, we talked about this in my last broadcast, but what we have to understand about masculinity comes from masculine. Masculine is not gender. Masculine talks about operational and that which is operational and functional. And so it does something. Okay, it does, it operates, it functions, it does, it moves. Okay, so that's what's important to understand about masculine. Okay, masculine is different than masculinity. Okay, masculinity is the assignment of gender to masculine, changing the functional and operational from just being that to assigning to it a specific mode of being able to effectively operate in this sphere with that energy. Okay, so masculine comes and is changed from masculine to masculinity because it drops the E and adds the ITY, and the ITY denotes degree or the science of, or the scientific methodology of. And the scientific methodology of masculine is masculinity. And masculinity takes and allows us to inject, it allows us to initiate, insert, okay? Okay? And so these are aspects of masculinity. And what science does is it adds to it the design of how it's supposed to be function or operate in this sphere. In other words, you are built, and you're built and designed. It speaks specifically to your design, and your design speaks to and it actually denotes masculinity. You have the body that you have because it is connected with your masculine design, and it is expressed through your masculinity. So if you're not designed or have the equipment to insert, to inject, right, or to initiate, to pierce and to penetrate, then you do not possess masculinity. Now, and I'm talking about this is by design, not by some operation, not by some figment of our imagination. I'm talking about the way that you came here, the way that you were born, the way that that distinguishes. For boys, it distinguishes masculinity, the inception, the introduction of masculinity from a masculine source or resource. Okay, it comes from the creator to the source, who is the source, to the resource, right? And to the product. And to the product is us, right? And so when you come here, you have a specific design. And that design is the introduction of masculinity and the proper operation and lawful operation of masculinity in this sphere. So how do we do this? How do we do this in this sphere? Well, what we've got to understand is this. Let me get my screen back. What we have to do is this. We have to understand, gentlemen, you've got to find purpose. You got to understand that there is a masculine purpose. And that masculine purpose, masculinity purpose, always injects. It always injects. By design, it injects. Now, I'm not just talking about from a sexual perspective. It's from a mental, psychological, cognitive, philosophical, everything about masculinity does the same thing. It injects, it inserts, it initiates, it penetrates, okay, and it pierces. Always does those things. Now, some people will say, and especially females, that they have a masculine side. No, you don't. There's no way that the universe created you to have a masculine side, nor does a masculinity side have a femininity side. No, what it is that he brings a side and you bring a side. You're 100% feminine or femininity. He's 100% masculinity. And see, if we understand masculinity purpose, gentlemen, what we'll do is we'll better understand our roles, and we'll be able to understand the type of woman that we need. Okay, well, you won't choose certain a female that has certain aspects that are telltale signs of masculine or masculinity traits. Women don't cut off their hair. Women have long hair, natural hair, natural attractiveness, and natural beauty. Men have masculinity qualities. And those qualities speak to his physicality. Okay. It speaks to not to chauvinism, not to misogyny, but it speaks to manhood. Manhood is neither chauvinistic or misogynistic. Neither. So when we see those kinds of characteristics, know that you're not dealing with a man, you're dealing with a male, or even in some cases a boy. But a man understands, first and foremost, masculinity understands its purpose. I have to be the one who injects. I have to be the one to penetrate. I have to be the one to pierce. I have to be the one to insert, right? I have to be the one to inject. That's what masculinity does, naturally. And is spoken of or type and shadow of it can be seen in your body. How you're designed. Men initiate, penetrate, right? Inject, so it's important for us to understand masculinity purpose. Now, what is your purpose, your masculinity purpose, more specifically? Masculinity purpose is understanding what the purpose of masculinity does. And that's what I'm just sharing with you. And if you don't understand that, there's nothing about masculinity that's feminine. Nothing. There's nothing feminine in masculinity, and there's nothing masculine or masculinity in femininity. It's important that we understand that she's 100% feminine. You're 100% masculine. It's got to be that way. Because if you don't know that, then what happens is you'll find yourself clashing with someone that has traits that they've adopted through culture, through society, through community, and bring those traits to your relationship and telling you that that's their essence. No, it's not. They've learned those traits, those behaviors through observing them, through practicing them, and inheriting them. But that is not who they are innately. That is not who they've been designed to be. You are 100% masculine, fellas. There's masculinity and that masculine is designed to in your masculinity and is to be demonstrated in your masculinity. Masculine is to be demonstrated in your masculinity. Now, there'll be people that will tell you and try to speak to you and tell you your masculinity is negative, this, that, and the other. But that comes from someone who is intimidated by masculinity, wants to be masculine, or has adopted masculine traits and wants to thwart the operation of true masculinity. So there are going to be people that come against you. Now, a lot of times you'll find that there will be other guys that will come against masculinity. And most of the time, these are guys that have been raised in single parent homes, and most of those homes are led by single parent mothers. And those mothers, as much as they want to try to teach you how to be masculine and teach you and govern you and try to disseminate and disciple you and discipline you in masculinity, they can't, because they're not masculine. They have no masculinity. So they're going to always have femininity in you. And so they're injecting in you, and they're not even injecting, they can't inject. And what you're receiving from them is traits. And these femininity traits influence the way you think and influence the way you operate. So you act and you think and you speak more in line with femininity than masculinity, because you are not used to hearing a masculine voice. You're not used to operating in the masculine design. She can't teach you. Mom could never teach you how to operate in masculinity, because she's not. So I don't care if mom punch you in the chest or make you take out the trash. That's not what masculinity is. Masculinity goes much further than that. It goes to the very core, into the very essence of you. Masculinity, and into you. And the only one who can do that is that comes from the masculine and masculinity line or lineage. And feminine is not that. So it can only come from your father. And if your father wasn't around, then you couldn't get that masculine, the utmost and the most fitting masculine design that you could possibly get, because it's supposed to come from your father. But if your father's not been around, then there's other masculine folks that you have been able to be around that help you to develop and glean and to gain an understanding of what's inside of you. But your mother can't do it, because feminine cannot connect with masculine in a sense of causing you to develop in your masculinity. It cannot do that. It cannot do that. Now, so masculine purpose, masculinity purpose. Okay. Again, I shared it already, that it's to penetrate, pierce, inject, insert, initiate, right, and to stab or insert it, to penetrate, we can say stab. I don't like the word stab though, but because it sounds so violent. But the bottom line is it inserts, it, which is there, injects, which is it penetrates, it pierces. Those are good words, better words. But the bottom line is that when we start looking at the whole idea, we have to understand that masculinity, binary energy, aids in understanding that masculine energy is necessary in the functionality within this dimension. So the masculine purpose comes into this realm, and it comes into this realm under the guise and under the auspices of masculinity, and it fulfills what masculine has been created to do. So, and it's not about just sex. You got to understand this, guys. But to penetrate, to pierce, to inject, to insert, and to initiate also speaks to ideas, purpose, more so than anything, purpose. See, that's once you have purpose, that's what you inject, that's what you penetrate, that's what you pierce, that's what you insert, that's what you initiate. And as you find yourself initiating that, you will find, and it says, you know, we look at how we're going to find a mate. Well, you have to understand there's a masculine and feminine side to purpose. And what we're looking at here is the masculine purpose. Okay. And in order for us to gain that, we've got to understand that it does these things. Don't go looking to receive. No, that's not who you are. You don't look to incubate. No, if she's doing that, she's operating in masculine traits. If you're receiving from her, then you're operating in a feminine trait, things that you've learned. No, that will never work. That will never work. That is not the proper design. The proper design is for you, gentlemen, is for you to find your masculine purpose. Your masculine purpose will dictate your masculinity, and your masculinity will dictate to you how you function in this sphere. Your masculinity purpose will help you function in this sphere. It's important, very much so. All right, so let's move on. Okay. The next thing is talking about vision. And I think we talked about this before in one of my earlier sessions. So I talked about the fact that men have visions, males have visions. Excuse me, take that back. Men have visions, males have dreams. Somebody says, oh, well, then you putting down Dr. Martin Luther King because he said, I have a dream. Well, you have to understand and look at Dr. King's life, and you will see that Dr. King was not operating in manhood, but in malehood. And somebody's not going to like that. Somebody's not going to like that. But the bottom line is manhood and malehood are not the same thing. Vision is different than dreams. If you want to understand that a little better, look at the last video where in part 2 we talked about that. But the man brings vision. Okay, a man is supposed to bring vision. It's important, gentlemen, that you understand that you are the visionary. You have been created to be a visionary. You see. A visionary sees. Now, what is it that you see? That's the question I ask so many men. What is it that you see? Now, this thing that you see is not something that you see here and there, but this is something that you've been seeing the whole of your life. And it's the same picture. It's the same thing. And understand that this vision, gentlemen, doesn't hurt, harm, or put in danger anyone. And it doesn't break the law. Because vision supersedes natural laws, civil laws, and customs. It operates on a higher plane. Vision operates on a higher plane. It operates on the plane right where masculine is. See, vision is a resource that comes from the provision. The provision comes from the source, which is the creator. The creator provides or gives you a provision, and the provision is the vision. And the vision is the resource, which is equal to masculine. And when it comes into this realm we call masculinity, it becomes vision. Oh, that's good. You need to understand vision is important. Men have vision. And this vision that you have is to be worked toward and moved toward the whole of your life. See, because I'm going to tell you, you can reach goals. What happens once you reach goals? You know, I do a lot of things with my clients talking about, you know, goal setting and all those things. But when they reach a goal, they have to set another goal. But see, and they set another goal and set another goal. But that's the problem with that is they don't really know where they're going, because vision will help you show you what the end goal is. But the goal setting should lead to the vision. But you have to have the vision first to establish the strategies to begin to move toward that way. And that's why you need a woman. Women are born strategists, but we'll get to that later. But the bottom line is to understand that a visionary is one that inserts. A visionary is one that injects. A visionary is one that initiates, right? What we said in the last slide. So it's important that we understand that that's what vision is. Vision is that picture, that thing that you've seen your whole life. And it's static. It doesn't change. But you've seen it ever since you were a boy. It's the reason why you're here. It's what you're supposed to do. It's the reason why you were born, to do that thing. And it's got to be productive. It's got to be lawful. It doesn't hurt you or other people. Right? So it's important for you to understand that, gentlemen. It's important for you to understand that. And it's that picture, vision, is that picture, that still picture that you keep seeing you doing, the completion of that thing that you see doing. Okay? And it's big. It's not a little thing. It's always big. Bigger than you can ever imagine. So big that you can't do it alone. You need her. You need her. But we'll talk about that as we go along. So let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next slide. I hope it's helping you. Okay? It says vision is purpose in picture form. If you want to know what your vision is, your vision is your purpose in picture form. Whatever it is that you're seeing, that's purpose. And that purpose is your vision. So that your purpose is the picture, and the picture is your vision. So my question to you, gentlemen, what do you see? See, what vision does is give your life meaning. It gives your life direction. It gives you a reason for being here. It gives you something to strive after and to fulfill. Most guys, they have no idea why they're here. They think that they're here to get rich or die trying, as 50 Cent says. No, that's not purpose. That may be goals, but it has nothing to do with purpose. It has nothing to do with purpose. But it's important that we understand that as well. So vision, your vision is purpose in picture form. Let's move on. Okay, so what does vision provide? Or I should say, what does vision consist of? It consists of visual perception. Okay, you see something. It's a picture of a finished product. It's seeing into the immaterial. It comes from the creator, and it possesses creative or creativity power or power of creativity. And so when you see that, that thing that you constantly see has a power and an ability to it. There's a reason why you see that, because that's what you're supposed to do. And because you're supposed to do it, everything that you need to bring that into fruition, you have. You have the tools to bring it into fruition. You have the tools. Notice what I said. You have the tools. But there's some things that you don't have that you need assistance with to bring it into fruition. That's the importance of the woman. Okay? Understand that the vision comes from the creator. It comes from the universe, if you want to call it that. Whatever you want to call it. But you're not a mistake. You are not a happenstance. By virtue of you being born, you have purpose. And your purpose as a man, your purpose as a male, your purpose as a boy is to do those things, to insert, to inject, to initiate, to pierce, and to penetrate. It never changes. Okay? It never changes. So that's what vision consists of. And it says, a man without a vision isn't a man. He's a male. In other words, he hasn't matured yet. He hasn't developed to the place of understanding what vision is. He hasn't come to the place to understand what purpose is. It's important you understand what purpose is, because purpose is vision and vision is purpose. But vision is purpose in picture form. Purpose is the spoken and the why of why you're supposed to be here. But a man without a purpose or a vision isn't a man. He's a male. He hasn't developed. He hasn't matured. He hasn't matriculated and developed in the 8 areas in which he needs to begin to matriculate from malehood to manhood. He hasn't done it. And that's what we do here at the Red Hot Mic. We want to help you matriculate from malehood to manhood. And that's why we see on social media people arguing about she does this and she doesn't do. And when you see my page and you see what I talk about on my page, I say some things. I say it in a specific way for you to understand that I'm addressing malehood and femalehood because they lack certain things. Manhood and womanhood doesn't lack anything. They're ready to go forward and to fulfill purpose. And when we fulfill purpose, we positively affect our community, culture, and clan, and we cause it a positive change to come about. We transform it. We build it up. Politicians can't do that. Politicians can't do that. Only those that are focused and understand purpose. So if you don't have purpose, you don't have vision. And if you don't have vision, you don't have purpose. It's that simple, guys. Okay, so now the next step is once we understand, guys, once we understand our masculinity purpose, it's now time for you to get a better understanding of femininity purpose. Why? Why is that important? Here's why it's important. It's important because it will dictate to you the right type of woman to help you, because even though you have the tools, you don't have the proper implementation of those tools. She does. She'll because she's a strategist. But we'll talk about it. Feminine or femininity purpose. Just like we talked about masculinity purpose, right? We talked about masculinity purpose. Here's what femininity purpose does. Femininity purpose receives. It incubates, nurtures, secures, and or protects. Look at it in the wild. If you look at it in the wild, let's say lions. what you'll see, and this is what they think. They think because a lion, the lioness go out and hunt. That's their role, to go out and hunt. Because what they're doing is they are going out to secure. See, that's what they do. They provide the sustenance, right? That's what they do. That is them securing and protecting. That's what they do. That's what femininity does. That's what femininity does. Femininity hedges, protects, hedges in, protects. Femininity receives. Femininity incubates, right? Femininity nurtures. Femininity secures and protects. Now, that's all. None of that goes out. It's all receiving. It's all receiving. It's all hedging. It's not. It's to keep out. It's all feminine. It doesn't penetrate. It doesn't insert. None of these do. None of these functions. So, gentlemen, what you've got to look for in a woman, you've got to look that a bossy woman is trying to insert. A masculine traded woman, female, she's not a woman. A masculine traded female will try to do and emulates what the masculine traits, because they've picked up masculine traits. And so they try to be men, but they're not men. Because when it comes right down to it, and it comes time to do the insertion, the initiation, the penetration, and the piercing, they cannot do it because they're not designed to do it. They need a man. They need a man. But a wombed man understands that. The womb is designed. See, that's what woman means. It's two words. It means womb and man. It means wombed man. And that doesn't mean man in a natural sense, but what it means is it means that the built from the same stuff. In other words, spirit. See, spirit. But that spirit comes from the same source, one source. Okay? And that source is divided binary to masculine and feminine. And then when it comes and puts on a physical body and comes into masculinity or femininity, they have the boy and the girl. Right? Binary. I don't care what anybody says. There's only two source elements or resource elements. And those resource elements are binary. Male, female, masculine, feminine, hot, cold, on, off. It's important that we understand that. It's important that we understand that. Okay. Now, here's another thing that's important about femininity. Whereas men operate in vision, where men operate in vision, women operate in virtue. They operate in virtue. They don't operate the way that men do. Okay? They don't operate the way men do. Virtue is a high moral standard, goodness, morality, dignity, honesty, and righteousness, or right standingness, or on the right side. See, she's the one that's going to figure out the way. Even though masculine, as a guy in our masculinity, we have the tools. She's going to try. Her purpose is to help you navigate and use the tools at the proper time when they need to be used, and to do it in a right way, in a formulated fashion that will guarantee success. You need her, but she needs you, because she cannot implement what she doesn't have. So she helps you, and you help her. And he said, well, he couldn't do it without me. Well, you couldn't do it without him either, because the way that the universe has made it is that you need each other equally. And I say this all the time: you're equal, but not the same. Where he inserts, you receive. Where he injects, you incubate. Right? And goes on that way. So virtue is a standard, a mode of operation. And so when you go out, gentlemen, you got to look for a virtuous woman, a woman with standards, high moral standards, high virtues. She's not going to go and do it. You see this on TikTok. These females who get on there and have no clothes on. That is not woman. Women don't do that. Women don't do that. They understand the power of seductiveness and how to properly use it. See, that seductiveness is important to a man. But when there's nothing left to imagination, nothing, the man can handle his own business. He doesn't. And so that's not what the universe wants of us. We need her. And the way she uses that seductiveness is one of her virtues. A virtuous woman will never get on TikTok and do what some of these, what these females do. Virtuous woman doesn't cut off her hair. She understands the importance that it adds to her femininity. You don't cut off and half of your hair is bald and that's a confused female, because she's teetering between femininity and masculinity. And that masculinity is masculine trait. She doesn't have masculinity. She's going to be a problem. She's going to be a problem. Ooh, somebody's going to be mad at me. Somebody's going to be mad at me. Anyway, that's fine though. You can be mad, but that's okay. Now, I talked a little bit about the qualities of a visionary man. And these are some qualities that you need to understand that a visionary man has. I should have had this up higher in the other section, but somehow it got put here. So we'll just go with it. The qualities of a visionary man. First of all, gentlemen, once you have a vision and you understand your purpose, you got to be persistent about it. You know that you know that you know. There's no vacillating. There's no being talked out of it, right? You're inspirational. You're open-minded. You're innovative, because it's going to take the innovation in mind to get to that. And you and her come together, and you go back and forth and decide how to go about it. And that innovation and idea, and she said, "Oh, we can do it this way," and that's how you work together. It's imaginative. You got to be imaginative. You got to think outside the box. You got to be bold. You got to have a collaborative control. You got to be willing to share, give and take with her. You got to be communicative. You got to be able to talk and receive. Goal-oriented. Goal-oriented in that little steps. One of my mentors, Dr. Miles Monroe, always talked about a part of being a visionary is to understand that within vision there is goals, but the goals are the goal-orientedness has to be connected with the vision. So many of us are goal-oriented, but we just are goal-oriented about something that we want and not something that we are. Okay, so we got to be resolute. We got to be resolute. We got to be well organized, responsible, enthusiastic, emotionally aware. Okay. And it should be emotive. Emotive meaning that you operate and move as you get direction. Don't be fearful of stepping out. You don't have everything you need because you're not supposed to. It's like driving a car. When you have your low beams on, you only drive as far as the low beams operate, right? When you're driving at night. But then sometimes the low beams don't work, then you put on the high beams and it allows you to see further. But you don't drive outside the preview of your lights, your low beams or your high beams. Though they help guide you. So you drive according to that. You move according to that. You don't go outside of what you see, or once you made that step, you stay there until you get direction in the other direction, or way, or a mode of operation that you're supposed to move in. Okay. Qualities of a visionary man is what we're talking about. Now, I think I'm not trying to make anyone religious, but my foundation comes from the biblical narrative. You want to know where I get all this from? I get it from the biblical narrative. Some people say, well, that the Bible's not true, it's not real. I'm not here to convince you. If that's what you believe, fine. According to your faith, be it unto you. I'm not talking to you then. But those that believe in the biblical narrative, whatever part of it, however you believe it and apply it, but if you believe in it, then I'm speaking to you. Now, I talked about virtue. I'm going back to virtue again. I'm skipping around. They're out of order. Anyway, virtuous. Okay, virtuous, and that should be up there. And that should be anyway. It says, the biblical narrative says, it defines a virtuous woman. It doesn't define a virtuous female. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as a virtuous female. There's no such thing as a innocent, or I should say, a virtuous girl. There's no virtuous female. There's no virtuous girl. There's only a virtuous woman. A girl is ignorant. Now, ignorant is not a bad word. Ignorant means that she doesn't know. She hasn't been taught. That's what she needs to be. That's why her mother is very important. She needs to be taught. She needs to be discipled. She needs to be disciplined. But she can only do it if she's a woman. And the problem in our culture now is that we have very little women. Our daughters, our girls are not being discipled, disciplined, reared by women. That's what we're seeing now. We're seeing our girls being raised by females and not women. They're being raised by females and not women. Just like our sons, our boys, are not being raised by men. They're being raised by males and by masculine traded mothers or females. And as a result, I've talked with guys, and they sound more female or more feminine and than they do masculine. And it's because of the way they were reared. The way that they were reared. That's not a put down. That's a true observation. That's a fact. That's a fact. And I hear some guys say, my mother did a good job of raising me. She did the best that she could. There's no doubt of that. It's no doubt about it. I give her all the credit in the world, but you still not get the best that was designed for you. I don't care what you say about it, gentlemen. You didn't get the best that you could have received. And that could be your father's fault. It could be your mother's fault. I would dare say it's both of their fault, but more so it's your father's fault. It's your father's fault. Okay? It's important for you to understand that. But who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. She's priceless. A virtuous woman, see where I talked about, whereas a man's key virtue or key aspect of man is his vision, the key aspect of woman is her virtue. Okay? You got to look for a virtuous woman, guys. Her lips, hips, and fingertips will go away. I don't care how fine she is. She sits on social media and plays with her hair, which ain't real. And she's putting her hair in here, and she's got on the makeup and these Bambi eyelashes, which aren't real. And she's got on the waist trainer, and you see all the shaping, which is not real. And I mean, all that's a female. She's not even developed in her body physiologically. See, because that's one of the 8 steps of the elements of masculine or femininity. physiologically. She's not developed in her body. I mean, if she was developed in her body, she would have some pride. She would have she would embrace who she is. And if she got to do those things, she knows that she's not where she wants to be, and she should be working toward getting it. But they don't want to work toward getting to that, because the bottom line is they can get the eyelashes and the waist trainer, and when they take off their waist trainer, she's big as a linebacker, right? Okay, she takes off the makeup and the eyelashes, and she looks more masculine than you do. But if she has a natural feminine, it's something about the femininity of a woman that changes the way she looks. There's femininity about the way she looks and presents herself. That's who you're looking for, gentlemen. And if you're not looking for her, it's because you have picked up feminine traits from your mother, who was in some shape, form, or fashion. And then I hear this, well, I come from a two-parent home, and my dad was in the home, but who ran it? Who ran the home? Who was the masculine one that inserted? See, because she still uses traits to masculinely insert, and so even though you have masculine, it's improper, because that's not trait. You don't have traits. You're looking at your dad, and he's not even where he needs to be. He's more feminine. And so you're confused, because you're seeing your feminine mom operating at masculine, your masculine dad operating feminine, and you're confused. So now, because she runs things and she's ahead, so you look toward her. And so you sound more like her and think like her than you do your dad. And he does it all to keep peace. No, that's not peace. That's disorder. That's disorder. Oh, you don't hear me. I've gone over time again. My goodness. I'm going to end here, but I'm gonna have to come back. We're gonna have to go back and do part 4 of this. I hope you're getting something out of it. I even cut it short, but it's still there's a lot here, and we're gonna pick up here from this particular portion, and we're gonna hopefully finish it. So listen, I want you to do this. Hit this. I want you to subscribe. Get rid of this. I want you to subscribe. I want you to hit the like. I want you to hit the notification bell. I want you to share this. Share this with other people. This is good stuff. And most of you have not heard anything like it before. Most of you have not heard much like this before. What I'm saying is men need women, and women need men. Boys, girls need to develop. Males, females need to mature. Men and women need to function. Understand that. Well, until the next time we come together, this is G. Alpha Palmer, and I appreciate you coming into the house. I always do. So until the next time we come together, we'll see you.